I'm just finished talking with Luke, and this our fourth conversation, where we pick up on the dancing metaphor that me and Aslam were speaking about in the last episode 72, I think. So there's a lot of Lindy Hop in this one too. But I wonder if one of the most important things of today's episode isn't discernment and boundaries, which I have been in conversation with Bella about quite a lot. Which tells me that this is important for me right now. Because I can, even though each of these sessions turn out, I mean, each of the people kind of turn into, there's a flavor, there's some topic that runs like a common thread through the 5 conversations. There's also a bit of a common thread for a season, influenced by what I'm reading or listening to or experiencing. So I had fun, and I enjoy hanging out with Luke. He's a cool cat. So join us, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as I did.
Hello.
Hi, Luke.
Hello, Helena.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I have been watching Game of Thrones episodes. I'm rewatching it so that I can then watch. I'm rewatching the entire series so that I can then watch House of Dragons and be kind of all on, with who's who and what's what and whatnot.
And you
So
can
yeah,
catch any of the like
references,
little references that
precisely.
are made to
Yeah.
these episodes, and then it's like
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know if they will be doing that at all because I haven't looked even at a trailer of it. But I figured, why not? I watched the entire 8, I think, season 2 years ago in like 26 days. That was a super, super duper binge. Which is when I knitted this poncho. So this is my Game of Thrones poncho.
nice. Red is a good color.
It is a good color, and I haven't watched it since. So it's my second time around. So I'm on season 5, episode 7 or 8 or something. So I'm
I haven't
getting
watched
there.
any of it.
It is actually, I found it much more interesting than I thought it would be because, it kind of took me 10 years to start to watch it. The benefit of which, though, was that all seasons were available, so I could watch all of it.
Yeah, you don't have to wait for them to drop.
No. But I actually really, really enjoyed it. I mean, it is violent and horrible in very many ways, but it is extremely well done. And the characters are, it's like there's more depth to the characters than I thought from what I had heard about it. So both Caspian and Dominic were like, you have to watch it. Like, okay, fine. After 3 years of them saying that, I finally relented, and then I was hooked.
Well, it sounds like I have to watch it.
Well, I wouldn't say you have to, but I do recommend it because I enjoy it. There's a lot of tankespjärn to be had in this, also from how I react to what people are doing. And I find that there's a lot of human conundrums in the characters. It's like, when you're choosing between bad and bad,
Worse.
it's like Yeah, it's like, yeah, and then there's worse. Okay, you don't go for the worst, but you still have the two choices of bad and bad. Which bad do you choose, and how do you live with yourself? It's like it is. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Human.
It is very human, um, and like I said, it's so well made. I mean, the photography, the imagery, the costumes. It's just stunningly made. Um, so yeah, I am enjoying it.
Good. Yeah, that's high praise. I haven't really heard too much about it other than, yeah, like passing things, but that's high praise. And
Yeah.
I do tend to get more caught in shows where I really like the characters, but maybe that's any show. But um
Yeah, but I
yeah.
mean, and I think I spoke about this in probably in a Buddhist by the Roadside episode or something, because we were still recording that when I was binging um, the first time around. It's like I enjoy that everybody gets to be a person fully. I mean, you have uh, Tyrion Lannister, who's the imp, the dwarf son of one of the mightiest uh, people in the realm of the Seven Kingdoms, or whatever it's called. And he's a full character. He's a person. He is allowed to be everything. So and everybody's kind of allowed to be everything. So there's the beauty and the horror and the lust and the disgust and the fear and the bravery. It's like it is. Yeah, I do.
Well-rounded.
Yeah, it is well rounded, and it is well rounded with extremes. Let's put it that way. But it's like when everybody has fucking killed somebody, you can't really say that no, people who kill each other or kill people are bad, because it's like, well, some of them are better than some of the others. So it is kind of I move in the gray uh areas here. It's like it's murky water, and that kind
Yeah.
of uh it's now and again, murky water can be really interesting, because what the fuck is there
Yeah.
really? Right? You don't really know. Um, so
Yeah.
it's a bit of a mystery. And then now and again, I'm shocked to pieces about what happens. And you just go, holy fuck, I did not see that one coming. So I do enjoy it. I do like it. So, yeah, I think I am
That's
selling it
awesome.
quite well, I have
Oh
to say.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
selling it quite well. This is
yeah,
this is
yeah,
this is really making me want to watch it because
yeah.
um yeah, it is sometimes fun when you have power dynamics and villains where, oh, they're just a villain. There's no um gray area. There's no gray area. It's the original Cruella de Vil. It's
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
okay, it's just a villain. There's no story, backstory. It's just I'm evil because I'm evil, and it's like, um, but yeah, I think it's more interesting when it's more realistic.
Yeah, and I think we touched on villains last time too, but I don't remember what was the, like, point of view or the angle last time, but anyway,
I don't know if we did.
I think we did. Or it might have been with one of the others, but I think it was with you. It might have been I think it was our third conversation that there was something about villains, but it beats me what it was.
I'll
I
have to
just
go
remember
go back and
that.
listen through.
Yeah, yeah, precisely.
Well, apropos, because I, with my bald head, have been compared to Lex Luthor, I think it's Superman franchise.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, and I was like, I
Well,
hope not.
no, I wouldn't say that. No, no, not very Lex Lutherish. But that begs the question: how have you been, my friend?
Oh, it's been an uphill battle, but doing my best to mm, see silver linings.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I hmm, yeah. I mean, just ups and downs, and having to deal with being sad for what is when something bad happens, but then also somehow also having the space for recognizing how lucky you are that it wasn't worse. Um, and that's been a real theme as of lately, where it's like, well, the cancer ordeal was not great. I mean, it's cancer, but you know, finding things like, oh yeah, like there's not a whole lot of data on people who only have one cycle of chemotherapy because that is incredibly rare.
Yeah.
Um, Stuff like that, where it's like, well, I'm sad that this happened, but also, wow, like I am so lucky. Oh my goodness, am I lucky?
Yeah. Because
Um,
there's little data because it's so rare that the cancer is discovered at that early stage, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, where, um, yeah, yeah. That's my understanding. Uh, so it's like I, y- like I would say I can't complain because this happened, but a little bit of complaining is warranted.
I would say so.
But yeah, it's all. Mm, and I guess that theme just more broadly has been a thing is balance. And I guess like you're talking about murky gray stuff where it's like, well, it's not clear cut um and there's not necessarily, yeah, just it's hard to say definitively like this is the way to be or this is the right thing or this is such and such, because it's like, well, in this context, this is the right
Yeah.
thing, and in this
Yeah.
context, no, it's the wrong thing, and this might be the right thing for this length of time, and then once you cross a certain threshold, then okay, it's not the right thing anymore. So
Which
I'm
brings me to
having, yeah,
principles because um I've been listening to a Swedish man, Jonathan, who's been in the Rika Tillsammans community, um, has been holding two like webinars on principles. And then I've been having conversation with Matthew and Emma about principles. We were listening to, I think it's episode 14 of Alan Watts Being in the Way, where it's a recording of him and Timothy Leary and Allen Ginsberg and two more people recorded in 67 or 69 or something on his houseboat. And they're speaking about dropping out and tuning in. And we started to talk about principles about that. So principles, and I'm like so not an expert on this, but when you say what works now might not work in a different context or in a different time or, when I've grown or when I've moved away or, whatever it is. But you could
When I
probably
retire.
find a principle at the root of that might be true, that can keep on being true, whereas the house differs. How to be, well, that might differ. What it is that I'm doing, that might differ. But at the root of it, maybe there's a why uh, that you can find.
I'm curious if you have an example of a principle that can be true consistently through changing action. Not that it
I
doesn't
will
exist. I'm just very
I will
curious.
immediately see, because I'm bad at remembering these things. So I did doodle when I was listening to one of those Jonathan.
It's appreciated because when I was talking about this, I think it's hard to. Well, I suppose if I could pull out examples of
Here
the
we
struggles that
see.
I'm talking about, but
So so Jonathan is former Swedish elite military. So he's been out and about and, like bodyguarding heads of states in different countries and it's like doing actions where, I mean, it is life or death, right? So he got interested is like, what is it that we're doing? What's at the root of what we're doing that determines if this is a successful mission or a failed one? And so one of the things that I really liked, that I think you can see as a principle, that he says as a principle at least, is plan until divergence. So you can plan, there's the event horizon. Somewhere there's the event horizon beyond which you don't know, right? So you can plan from here to the event horizon. I can plan. And then he has prepare for what happens beyond the event horizon. So the difference being the planning and the preparing. So I can plan for what I can see.
mhm.
When I don't see anymore, I can try to imagine what might become, what might happen. Do I need to have a backpack with me with water? Do I need to have extra ammo? Do I need to have, extra socks because it might get wet but I can't plan to put on my socks in
Yeah, okay,
3,500,
gotcha.
35 hours because maybe I won't be needing extra socks in 35 hours, or I can't
Yeah,
plan what I'm to do, but I can
plan until
prepare for it.
divergence.
So plan until divergence and prepare for what comes after. And it's like, that will need a shitload of different activities,
Hmm.
right? Because what am I planning for? Am I planning to, go to bed? Yeah, that's kind of, I can do that. That's kind of within reason. I'll be recording this with you and then I'll turn off the lights and I will lock the door and maybe open it and call Pop in first and then go up and brush my teeth and go to bed. It's like I can plan for that, but if I were to borrow the neighbor's car to drive into town, it's really a bad idea for me to plan that I will stop at that red light because maybe when I get there it's green.
Yeah.
It's like then that's a really bad plan. It's like it won't make that won't be in service of what I'm doing.
Or like, I mean, even just I'm planning to go to sleep and I'm creating the circumstances under which I'm likely to fall asleep. But as of late, it's like, oh, well, my brain has decided to be really noisy and I'm having difficulty falling asleep. And so
Yeah.
um, I need to, there's a divergence. And so I need to take melatonin, or I need to
Yep.
go stretch, or I need to do something that
Yeah.
gets me out of my head and into my body and
Yeah.
can help me
Yeah.
drop into
Drop
sleep.
into, yeah. Yeah, precisely. So that
That,
that's an
it's a good one.
example um that I kind of liked. Uh, and I
And I like that too, just as somebody who is an over planner, because I think there's sort of a, like, yeah, you can plan, but you should also expect that things are not going to go according to plan, and you will have to take other measures when things don't necessarily go as, to plan. And so
yeah. Yeah.
that would be a helpful principle for me to,
See there.
uh, what's the word? Integrate. Yeah, because I think I find it takes a while. I can intellectually understand something, but to fully integrate it and really experientially like understand it, it takes some time.
Yeah.
So
As it kind of should, I think. It's like, how else would you integrate it if it isn't allowed to seep through? Kind of, then it is a superficial. It's a varnish, or it's an add-on, um, but it's not a part of you. Um, so I
yeah,
think, and I think, I mean, as you can tell, I couldn't even come up with a principle without looking at my doodles. But so it's not something that I've been like working for myself, but I do, I do it just knowing about this, just hearing people talk about this and just kind of relating to it means that I get to actually practice more gentle towards myself because it also gives me this uh, opportunity to be discerning in of sorts, to say that, okay, this has worked for me for a period of time, whatever that is, be it, go to bed by 10 o'clock, which I really haven't been doing, but uh or drink a
same.
cup of water the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning, or whatever it is. And then if I actually reflect on it and with retrospection, kind of looking at it from me, maybe I find that it actually isn't working. So then I get to change. I get to, okay, let's play with something new. Let's try something else. So it's a doorway to experimenting and being kind of a little bit more fluid, um, which I like. I like that. Me and Aslam, we recorded. It is September 2nd today. We recorded yesterday what will be released on Tuesday, and when this is released, it's last week's episode. So for
Mm.
anybody who got that, I'm impressed. But we were speaking about using dancing as a metaphor for life, where you get to be in movement. You get to be in flow with what is, um, which I like, as I like dancing.
Yeah. I appreciate dancing, and it's something that, I mean, I don't know how to formally do it, but I enjoy it. But it's something I just like. Yeah, it's a way that you get to be in flow, like you said, with your body. You know, it's not necessarily just intellectual, which I think is a lot of how it works. So I'm envious of people who can find the time and stamina to do it.
Yeah. There's something about me in a dance floor, at least if I'm doing like disco dancing, where you're just dancing. I can go for hours and I just don't get tired. When I'm doing Lindy Hop dancing, it's actually different because I do get tired there. I think that I'm I'm working different muscles, and it is um, it takes more out of me, especially if the pace starts to get high, because if you're disco dancing, you can kind of slow down and chill out a little bit on the dance floor. You're just moving your
You can
hands a
just
little bit. Yeah, But
bob up
but
and
if you're
down.
Lindy hopping, you are dancing all the time. Um, so when I'm Lindy hopping, I need to take a break every couple of songs. But if I'm just on a dance floor dancing, just regular dancing, I can go for hours on end. And I
Mm,
possibly because I do it so seldom, so that when I do it, I'm just so hyped that I love it that I don't want to miss even a song.
yeah. Well, then, yeah, then it sounds like a full body workout.
Yeah.
Um, what is I've heard of Lindy hopping before, but what is it? I have never
Lindy Hop
actually.
is swing dancing, is also what it's
Oh,
called. So it came after Charleston, so late 20s, early 30s into the 40s.
mm,
So it's swing dancing, and then out of that came jitterbug, and out of jitterbug came what we in Sweden call bug. Um, so it is, uh, it is a lovely dance. There is nothing that gets me as happy as hearing swing music and watching people dancing Lindy Hop or dancing Lindy Hop myself. It's just, I just get, I just get stoked. It's wonderful.
I have pulled up a video and I'll have to watch it after we're done.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It is fun because it's a fun dance. It is a fun dance where people are enjoying themselves. If you're not enjoying yourself, you're in the wrong place. Like if you look at tango, that I know there's a lot of people who really, really love tango, and I'm sure that it can be absolutely wonderful as well. But they look so serious. It's like and it's like jerky motions, and they look so serious and whatnot. And it's like, and Lindy Hop is this
free flowing.
smooth, free flowing, bouncy, happy go lucky type of just it's like a puppy. It's like a happy puppy, whereas tango is more like a military march. Like, everything is so straight. Yeah, precisely. It's so it's much edgier. Um, and I do
It's
normally like
more
edge, but
square than circle.
it's more square than yeah, and I think Lindy Hop is even more it's squiggles. And I mean, I do love squiggles. I doodle, right? My doodles, if anybody's seen my doodles, they're filled with these squiggles of different sorts. So it's like it just fits me. It just works. Um,
Perfect. And that, hmm, I don't know if this we can tie this, but you said the phrase was like, if you're not enjoying yourself, you're not in the right place. And yeah, if something doesn't fit, like, well, is that a principle? If something doesn't fit you, then You're not in the right place?
Good question. I'm
'Cause
not sure it is because I can think that it depends. Because maybe I just have all of these beliefs that stop me from being there in a bodily, maybe I have such rigid, like me, mental vice type of, oh no, you can't do that thing, even though inside there might be this little bouncy puppy going, yes, please, let me, um, which you may or may not let
that's
loose.
familiar.
That feeling? Yeah.
Well, yeah, or that sort of, yeah, the thing that is what you are supposed to do versus the thing that makes you happy.
Yeah.
Mhm, and
And I wonder at that. I wonder at how much of our supposed tos are actually quite pointless, quite culturally or normatively driven, and not really regenerative, not really stemming from life force, or it's like
we're not
I
serving it.
yeah, and I think that I'm actually quite influenced by Reddy when it comes to this. Reddy from season 2, where his constant reminder, he constantly brings everything back to play, to play, to play. He's great at doing that. And it makes me go, yeah, what if there was a little bit more play? How would I experience life? Because I can say that and I mean, I can see how I have become much more prone to play again. Like you kind of peak playing as a kid and then it kind of tethers out or fizzles out. But I'm pumping up that muscle again. I'm working that muscle more and more. Yes.
Working the play muscle.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And like, Lindy hopping helps.
Yeah,
Um, because it
yeah.
is one of those places where I'm allowed to use my body, which is something I have need for. I have need for letting my body be part of the expressions of me, um, being such a, or having been such a cerebral creature. Um,
I'm I could definitely take a cue from that. Yeah, I also have a similar pattern of being somewhat alienated from play where, okay, yeah, you have it when you're a kid and then you for me, it was very much during college and the year after where it's like, oh no, this is you're supposed to do, this is serious. And then it's kind of coming back where it's like, oh, okay, um, you can actually be a lot more creatively productive if you give yourself playtime because that's when novel ideas come up and novel combinations of things come up. Um, and then, yeah, there's also, I think, a similar curve with not even just like having fun and in connecting with my body, but like, you know, recognizing it as like a part of me, which sounds weird, um, but yeah, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I am here in my head and my body like carries me from place to place. And if there's something wrong with it, then, we'll address that. But it's not, um, yeah, it's just not integrated. And yeah, and it's kind of funny because this past week I got well, there was it was a bit of it was a tarot reading, but also there was some intuitive reading as well. And this is one of the things that came up, is not only like, I mean, many things came up, but this was one of them, is that it's like I am very much um in the top part of my body, and I'm
Yeah.
speaking, and I am thinking, and I'm trying to understand, and I'm not necessarily processing some of the other things, like uh feeling is traditionally associated with the body, um and doing things with the body. And so there the advice did come back as to, like, yeah, you should get more in touch with your body. And an interesting idea that he shared, which I think is getting more traction also scientifically, in books like The Body Keeps the Score, is that there are memories that are like associated with, or stored in your body. And so, like, when you move them or stretch them, or, you know, breathe into them, or whatever, you know, it it's not random, or I mean, it seems random to you if you are not aware of them, but that, like, oh, they'll come
There
out,
will be
and
release. Yeah. Yeah.
or review.
Yeah.
So
And so, I mean, for me, it is so easy to go all cerebral in one of those things and go, okay, then I will do this and not do that. And I will, I'll take a cold shower and then I'll walk barefoot. And then, it's like, so make it a cerebral plan for how to get in touch with my body. But what happens if I instead were to just listen? What's the signals?
or allow divergence, if we tie it back.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I've been saying, and I have been, and I don't want to say that I am anymore, but an upholder, according to Gretchen Rubin's 4 tendencies, about how you um, approach inner and outer expectations. And I'm an upholder, which means I have been an upholder, which means that I have had a very easy time to live up to inner expectations. I can say, I will do this and I will do that. And I can also live up to outer expectations. If a boss comes and says, there's a deadline, I will, live up to that as well. And when I act from a purely cerebral place in that, I get like my 1,000 days of daily burpees, which I did for 1,000 days and then some. Before I kind of connected it to, okay, back pain. I really don't need burpees on a daily basis because my body says, fucking stop it, you idiot. You're hurting me. Can't you tell? And it's like,
But I made a promise.
exactly, right? I said I would, and so I will. So
We have to
again,
stick to the plan.
listening to that exactly is for me. I mean, that is where the edge is for me still, I would say. Listening to, when does my body say, hey, can you please get up and move? Because, you've been sitting for a long time, or uh, whatever it is. Today, don't leave bed. It's like, ooh, book. And when am I? Because then I think my cultured intellectual me goes in and says, oh, but you should. It's like, but why? Since whose voice is that? Right? So there can be all of these playful explorations if I'm up for it, if I am
But what
willing
if
to
someone sees
listen.
me defying
Precisely.
cultural expectations?
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I do help myself now. Walking barefoot is one of the ways that I help myself because it's such a physical reminder that there is more than head, right? Because I can feel. Um, so just
Yeah, I haven't
little things
tried
like
doing
that
that.
is really helpful for me. And I've been walking barefoot more and more. I started wearing barefoot shoes 2014, and now I only do that, but I also walk a lot barefoot outside. Oh, you can't do that. Yeah, you actually can.
I imagine that can be kind of a mindfulness exercise or
Yeah,
like almost a meditative thing
yeah,
because um, like I've done some walking meditation before, but you're just getting so much more sensory information if you're
yeah,
walking barefoot than if you're doing
yeah,
it with shoes on or doing
yeah,
it inside.
yeah, yeah. So all of those ways of listening to my body, of picking up on the sensory um, experiences.
Yeah, yeah. This this is connecting just in terms of, well, I was gonna say I was gonna go down this path and then I stopped myself. I'm going, well, I don't. It's very easy to should, would, could,
Yeah,
you know, to
yourself.
to
Yeah,
go um, explore like opportunities where maybe you could have learned the lesson earlier or integrated something earlier, and I don't know how much value there is. Um, I think maybe it's more valuable to look for opportunities going forward where you can implement the thing that you want to see
yeah,
rather than going back and doing some self-flagellation for
yeah. That
not
seldom
getting it earlier.
helps. My
Um,
experience, it seldom helps. I've been king or queen of self-flagellation. It's like, no, it doesn't help.
yeah, and I and in the whole thing with intellectualizing, I can also go back and um, there are ways in which I have gone, oh, this might not, be effective, or this might be something that's not helping me. And then I'll find a reason like, oh, well, it's okay if I'm identifying ways that, in the future it might help me and, or things that I can do. And I don't know how effective that defense is either. And in that, like, I think there's truth in like, you can go and examine things. And if you can still pull out information in that is like helpful to you going forward, then it makes sense. But if you're role playing scenarios in which, things could have happened differently, I don't know how helpful that is. Um,
I well, I would guess it kind of depends as well. What are you learning? Are you
Context.
context and how you're doing it? Are you doing it
Mm,
in a, "Ooh, this might mean that I can plan differently. up until divergence and or prepare differently for beyond the event horizon? Or am I doing it for in the way of, oh, I suck. I should have done better. I should have known better. Why the fuck did I? Or didn't I? Or, it's like,
That
which I
sounds
don't
familiar.
think is very helpful at all. Um, but, but,
Yeah.
and again, I think this is also part of this dance metaphor of life. It's like, how am I doing this? Am I going with the flow of it? Am I looking at and just looking at, okay, this happened. I had this plan, this happened. I had prepared, but I'd really forgotten to prepare these. It's like super helpful.
Oh, and to make that move that my dance partner did that I didn't expect to look good, I need to do this that I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
prepare
yeah,
for, or
yeah. And
yeah.
and I mean it's part of the Lindy Hop. I've been talking quite a lot about Lindy Hop in the last few conversations here, but part of the hard
Well,
part
it's
for
important
me,
then, clearly.
it is important. And part of the hard part with Lindy hopping is I have been dancing follower, which means I dance with a lead. And as I said with Özlem, Lindy hop is a fun dance that way because as a follower, I can't say, okay, everything is on the lead. It's the lead's responsibility. No, I am actually responsible for me and how I dance. And as the follower, picking up on the signals from the lead is part of what I'm supposed to be doing. And it can be really hard to disconnect the intellect because when you're at class, you know that we're supposed to do this swing out ending in a circle, whatever it is, right? And my lead missteps or doesn't give me the signal in time or whatever, but I know what we're supposed to be doing, so I do it anyway. That's a bad thing because I then am actually cheating my lead on important signals that, hey, I wasn't leading, you know? Because, oh, yeah, I apparently was leading because she ended up right where I wanted her. Yeah, but you actually
Mm.
didn't give any signal to that. I just did it because I knew what we were doing. And when you're doing social dancing, I don't know what my lead wants me to do. So if he or she hasn't been allowed to actually get the bodily feedback that when I do this, she goes that way, or, it's like, but I wanted her to come forward. So and I think that's also part of this, um, the integration aspect that when I'm dancing like that, it can help to close my eyes, and it can help if I put my awareness on where are we connected? Is it the hand? Is it the arm? Is it am I holding his back or her back? Because you can dance, followers and leads aren't male and female. Anybody can do anything. Um, so it's like putting my awareness to where do I feel the hand? And what's the signal? And sometimes you go, fuck, does he want me to spin around or go back or forth? It's like, I can't tell. Okay, then I shouldn't do anything. I should stay in that. I don't know what you want me to do because that's a signal that will provide help. Um,
This is not a perfect metaphor, but it's funny. It's just what's coming up for me, like while you're talking about this, and like when you were talking about the lead making a move that is a mistake or like is not expected, um, and is not how you're supposed to do it by the textbook or whatever. And then you respond with the move that like is from the textbook,
Yep.
or the session, and with what is supposed to happen, but then like it doesn't look right because there's a mismatch there. I was reading an article about how in the US, like when like the inflation started happening, and like the economy is the lead and the Fed is the follower, and the Fed was like, oh, okay, well we're gonna do the textbook move,
Yes.
in response to this, and oh, oops, it turns out that's not what we should have done. We should have done something different because this was an unexpected
Yeah.
scenario that was this sort of perfect storm of factors that led to like the market behaving very
Yeah.
differently than it
Yeah.
usually does, and so
Yeah.
we should not have done the textbook move in response. We should have done something more
Yeah.
innovative, but we can only
Yeah.
see that with hindsight. And
Yeah.
so it's not a perfect metaphor, but
No,
it's
but
funny to me
it
that
does
that's what
make a
I'm
lot of
thinking of.
sense. Yeah. And I think that is, it's like there's so, again, if you look at schools, there's so little of that. There's so little of, let's put together a math problem where you fucking can't solve it just to see, you know, let's mess with the kids a little bit to see. Can they figure it out, right? What do you do when the fucking example or the problem is like, no, I can't do the calculation. You haven't given me the information I need, or, it's like, no, that actually turns it into a wrong thing. It doesn't work, right? That doesn't happen. If it does, there's an error in the math book. Um, you know? So we're very, I would say, little trained in how do you dance with life? How do you dance with the fact that all of a sudden the lead does something completely out of the blue and you just go, what the fuck just happened? Okay, I'll tag along and see what happens, right? Maybe he wants me, and you find out that, oh, that was a new type of move. Didn't know that one existed. Right? I've learned something.
Does now.
It does now, precisely. Maybe we just invented it. So it's,
Yeah.
and in a world where we are so cultured, where we're so controlled, where we're so lauding the intellectual, the reason, the rational, the logical, we lose. We lose the movement. We lose the flow, the ability to go with the flow. And that, I don't think that's good for us at all. I think we're meant to be going with the flow. I think everything in nature is meant to be going with the flow.
Yeah, it's head and the heart. It's not just one.
No. And it isn't just head and heart. It's a fucking, like,
Whole body.
it's a whole body. And I mean, just imagine the billions of neurons that are sending signals. If the body didn't have the signals to send to the brain would be totally blind. It doesn't have anything to work with. And so we are, we're little fingers as well, little pinky toes. And it's like we're everything. All of those parts of us is constantly providing feedback. Is it warm? Is it cold? Oh, this was sharp and this was hot and
or
oh,
even
that was
gut
slimy. That was
feelings.
yucky. And it's like constantly, or oh, back, move, 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 because there's something in the back over there.
Or yeah, like gut feelings where it's, oh, this situation doesn't feel right, or
Yeah.
or no, we really need to move right now. uh
Yeah.
um yeah, like, it's all connected, and uh yeah.
So I'm curious. You talked about a tarot reading and intuitive reading. How are
Mhm.
you? What's your relationship with intuition and with instinct and that type of gut
The
feeling-y
type
type thing?
of woo kind of
The
things.
woo kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So, well, the first thing you said was, what's the relationship to intuition? Um, I do buy Daniel Kahneman's System 1, System 2 kind of thinking.
Thinking fast and thinking slow.
Yeah, that the System 1 is the intuitive, immediate feedback thing, where it if you have had experience with something, you tend to like get it faster. It just comes up, like if you've been driving for a long time, you just it's automatic. It's System 1. But in order to put things, or I guess in order to build a stronger System 1, you have to do things in like a System 2 deliberate way. So I do buy into this. I think that is in part how it works, but I think that there's something more to that. I don't think that is all of it. Um, like, I think it's just interesting that, like, if I think about when I was in, uh, well, it's not exactly primary school, but sure. Um, when I was in high school and middle school and the different, schools you go through as a kid, like, all of the subjects that I did well in, um, tended to be the subjects that, like, my dad studied when, like professionally, which I think is funny. And it's not like he helped me with my homework or anything, and so it's interesting because they kind of go, well, is there some amount of System 1 that is genetic?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there
Or
some amount
does
of
it
that
come in the
intuition?
air?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, if you talked to the reader that I had, he would say, yeah, there is energy in the air, and it has
Yeah.
different colors, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's associated. And I don't know. I can't see it, and I don't know. I if it is something that he can see, and I was surprised, and that, like, well, so my sister also went and did the reading with me, and it was funny because, he's like, oh yeah, I see chakras, and I was like, oh, that's surprising, because he had said some things about my sister, and I, was like, oh, is that from the reading? And no, I see chakras. And so then he looked at me, and for my sister's reading, I hadn't said anything. I'd been totally quiet because I didn't want to influence it at all. He's like, "Oh, are you, like, in your head a lot, and, like, do you talk a lot, because these ones are particularly open for you, and, oh, you're like, the chakra that's in your belly is, like, particularly blocked, and oh, that's interesting because I have a chronic condition." So,
Surprise. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, wow. Wow, there's something to that, because it's not like he could have got that off of oh, he's talking a lot. He might, or
Mhm.
he seems particularly preoccupied in his head. So it was like, wow, yeah. So I do think there's something to that, and I do think that yeah. I also just find that when I've had readings, like they have been pretty accurate. Even ones that I've like done myself. You can go to like tarot.com and like click and just
And get a
and
spread.
do your
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I go, well, I don't know. I think it's interesting, and I don't purport to know how any of it works, and but I think there's something to it. I don't think that it should be dismissed as not having anything to it. I think that there is something to it.
And I got my first tarot deck
Ah,
just a month ago or
very cool.
something, called The Field by Hannah Elizabeth Fofana, which is just gorgeous. And it's I think as I, th- I think everything can be a portal, a prompt, a door that might open, you know, a seed, whatever whatever you want to like look at something, and that can be anything. It can be a conversation. It can be a bird coming. It can be the squirrels that were playing in the trees outside my house today. And you know, I, I can get prompts for tarot deck or from a book or from Game of Thrones. Plenty of little portals opening there for me. And if nothing else, I think that can be a valuable um, way of dancing. Whereas, like, there's a signal in everything. Do I want to pick up on it? Do I have the energy to pick up on it? Do I
Hmm.
feel like it? It's like, no, that signal doesn't really, no, don't like the
Not
vibes of
today.
that one. Whatever it is. Um, so I think I'm much more prone to um, be open to people who say that I don't know. So I'm not saying it can't be or it has to be. So in a sense, I'm kind of more into agnostic. It's like, well, I just don't know, rather than, oh no, this is the way. Whether that be I'm a firm, staunch believer in, or I'm an atheist, which actually is being a firm, staunch believer in something. Um,
Yeah. I mean, well, and yeah, atheism is not exactly scientism, but I think they do sort of go
mm,
in hand where, it's like, oh, it's um yeah, like science will explain everything, and it's um yeah. And when you're saying things open a portal, you mean to like whatever the signal is that they're giving.
yeah,
Um and
precisely.
when you're saying yeah, and you're saying when you're saying it prompts you to think about it, to tune into it, um,
Yeah. Or
to
not. It's like, I can pick a tarot card and get curious, which is like, okay, that's a good moment to pick a tarot card. If I pick a tarot card and I go, nah, I don't feel like it, it's like, that's not a very good moment to pick a tarot card because I'm not open to any of the signals that card is sending me at the moment. Be that because I'm tired, because I don't believe in the shit, because whatever it is, I'm hungry, I can't have, or I'm stressed, doesn't really matter, but there is signals, there is information, there is possibilities, opportunities. In, in, in everything that I encounter.
Yeah, and that is relatable of sometimes going, no, sorry, I'm not gonna do the signal right now.
Yeah.
I'm particularly ill. Or,
Yeah, precisely.
yeah, I don't have the energy to give this the attention it deserves.
And I've been saying what you just said for a long time, and this is how I've been relating to fear, like going through the different ways of how I've been relating to fear, coming up to this, which is, it's an invitation. Barring there's an axe murderer on the street, or some, the house is on fire and I need to get out. I mean, not that type of
For the
stuff.
US, there's a school shooter. There's a public shooter.
Precisely. So not that type, but the other type. Oh, do I dare do this? Can I do that? What will people think? That type of fear is an invite. It's an invite to me, and I get to choose. Do I want to dance with it or not? And I don't have to. There's no could, should, would rule that says I have to respond and always take fear or universe up on the invite. No, I don't. I get to say, I just can't be bothered today. I have a headache, or I've already done 5 dances today. Thank you, fear. I don't want another one. It's like
I'm exhausted.
I'm exhausted. And it's like, fine. Because it'll come back if it's for you, it'll come back. But that's another way of being in that dance. It's like now and again somebody asks me to dance and I say, no, I don't want to. I don't like the look of you, or I'm too tired, I need to breathe or drink, or just get my pulse down a little bit, or the song isn't really that enticing to me at the moment, or no, I actually have to leave because I have to do something else. It can be all of those things or none of those things, but I get to choose.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that perspective. And because we're talking, well, I feel like that fear and anxiety are kind of interlinked. They're related to one another.
Yeah.
And there's overlap in the Venn diagram. Because something that I've thought a lot about, but again, yeah, I've thought a lot about it's cerebral.
Yeah. Can you dance it for me?
Yeah. Well, and if I put my all into dancing it might actually not be there anymore. Who knows? But because it does, all those endorphins change your brain chemistry. But but something I've thought about is if you are particularly anxious about a certain outcome, you really give it a lot of power. And I noticed, like, I really don't suffer from anxiety so much anymore. It wasn't a problem for me. Now it's more depression, but they are interlinked, but it's not so much of an issue. But when it was more of an issue, I would notice that it's like, if you're particularly concerned about a certain outcome, and the example I'm thinking of is like in social situations where I'm so worried that you're going to think this. And so then you like are talking about that thing that you're worried about. And like you bring up the thing that you're worried about. And so then you won't stop talking about the thing that you're worried about. And then, so then, you know, and it generally it's concerned with other people disliking you. And so then it's like, oh, so then they do start disliking you because you won't stop talking about like this thing that you're frustrated about. And so, yeah, there is benefit, or I have found a lot of benefit in ignoring fear, but you make a good point that fear can sometimes be telling you very helpful information that you should listen to. But
that you're invited to listen to. There's a possibility to listen to it, right?
Yeah. And you can also, and ideally, you can also choose what volume to listen to it at, because when it's at like an 11, that's a very different experience than listening to fear
when
at
it's
like a
3.
4.
Yeah.
Or a 3, where it's like, oh, okay, this, I can parse signal and get helpful information from it. Then like,
but I mean, that is also interesting, because that also, I think, is one of those things that says so much about the integration. Because if it's an 11, it's like it's system shutdown. Like I'm not, my entire system just goes boink. No, we're out of commission. Sorry, we can't deal with any of this. It's just too much, too loud, too noisy. But if it's a 3, it's like, okay, then I can listen to what the pinky toe is telling. And what does the gut say about this? And how does that feel in my shoulders? And,
rather than
precisely, rather than that, so which also then says that if I live a life filled with 11s, maybe there's something to deal with. Maybe that's a signal in and of itself. It's not the information in the specific thing. It's the fact that you're getting 11 times a day, and you have done for the past 11 months. Okay. Hey, my friend, something is amiss. So that, again, there's signals to be received if we want to, if we are up for it, if we're resourced enough. And it just, I don't know, for me, thinking about life that way, living life that way, or at least I want to believe that I live life more that way than not, gets me into a state where I can play more, where I am invited to dance, where that is an easier choice. It's more natural. It doesn't feel like it's completely out of the blue, but rather, oh yeah, because this is how I do life. Yeah. So it gives me that sense of well-roundedness that we started off on with Game of Thrones. This fact that I can deal with the shit and the joys and the lust and the despair and it's like, okay, I get to
killing
dance
people.
with all of that, with killing people. I haven't gone that far yet, that I know.
Neither have I, and I hope I do not.
I hope I don't either, I have to say.
Sorry, I'm being silly and derailing.
But you can be. It is fine. That's a little bit playful, I would say. It is allowed to play in this place. And just ta livet med en klackspark, we say in Swedish, which is one of those Swedish idioms. If you translate it literally, it basically means klackspark is when you Like is it Singing in the Rain where he jumps up and he kind of hits his his 2 feet together, heel against
I know the
heel?
image you're talking, or
Yeah, right?
the kind of clip you're talking about. I don't know if that's what it's
And
from,
I
but
don't know if it is either, but it's one of those where you kind of you jump up and you click your 2 heels together with klackspark. Klack is the heel. So take life as one of those kicks is the Swedish idiom, which kind of says, go a little bit easy on yourself, play a little bit, have a little bit of fun. It doesn't have to be so serious, so ordered and structured and routine and rational and logical and everything. It's like go with the flow. Um, so there's that.
I'm curious if you find if what is vital to being able to live life that way is having the power to listen to a signal and say, no thanks, not right now. and um, to be able to set boundaries with specific signals,
Probably
so
yes.
that you can
Probably
make room
yes.
for.
Yeah. Discernment. I bring it back to discernment. Yes. Because now and again, you know, being jokey and playful is great fun, but maybe not always. Maybe now and again, silence is called for. Maybe now and again, giving someone a hug instead of laughing at them is a good idea. And, whatever it is. But at the bottom of it all can be this way of not being serious for seriousness sake somehow. I'm serious because this is what discernment says. This is what's on right now. This is what's just right for right now. Context. Tomorrow, different situation. Who knows? Use discernment
Not
then
even
again.
tomorrow, could be in an hour.
Yeah, in 5 minutes, right? Um, but it is again this dance, and I mean dance again. Discernment says if I've been dancing for 5 hours nonstop without drinking, and it's warm outside, it's not a good idea to say yes when somebody else comes and asks me to dance. It's a good idea to say no, thank you. I need to go drink or sit down
I
or, you know. So
I have a
dancing with
response.
life also means saying no now and again. It's like the boundaries, they are part of this field of discernment, of this um wise energy somehow.
And in your example, saying yes to a different signal, which is your body saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
you don't forget about me.
Yeah, precisely.
I need some water."
Yeah. Or I need to go rest.
Yeah.
So how have you been discerning during this last ordeal of yours?
It's a good question. Mm, I guess to relate back to I think this was the last conversation we had. Saying no to drama,
Mm.
in having to be with family a lot. There often comes with that a lot of drama. And a lot of it was, going, I guess if we're using the metaphors that we've been using this conversation, I like saying, no, I need to listen to my body's signal that is, I need to lie down. I can't, mediate some argument, or, I have to do something to immediately take care of myself, and not necessarily, unfortunately, not necessarily have to rely on somebody else. Like, for example, if there's a big argument raging about where we're going to eat and I'm starving, just eating something anyway, because I'm sorry, but I don't have the resources or the energy to go mediate this silly argument about where we're going to eat, and I need to take care of myself. So that, I think in many different ways you can, that pattern was consistent. And that's, I think, how I would answer that question, how I've been discerning is in, just recognizing my need to prioritize my own health in a way that I probably should have done before this, but
Precisely.
Yeah. But it's a good forced learning opportunity where it's like you have to go through the experience, and then you see, oh, things didn't fall apart. You see.
I didn't die, mom didn't die, cousin didn't die, the nurse didn't die. It actually worked to say, hey, give me a banana now. Or whatever it is.
I'm going to grab a banana now. Because before this started, I bought a whole bunch of bananas.
No, I think it's great to hear you come to that conclusion that the honoring of your boundaries is your work. That is the work, actually. That is the work. It's like, for me to pick up on them, to get to know what does it feel like in me when my boundaries are being violated because I am letting them be violated, because I am not honoring them, because I'm not saying I'm going to grab a banana now because I need food now. And just like you say, I'm 50. I've definitely not honored my boundaries for 50 years. It's like, nah, there's been a lot of non-honoring of boundaries, that's for sure. And it's like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to honor boundaries, because if I honor my boundaries, it's also an invitation for everybody around me to honor their boundaries, and then ripples.
The ripple effect.
Yeah.
I did a doodle yesterday that you have to see that I think is very relatable. let's see what it was. Don't be a self-betrayal whale.
Oh, oh,
So silly. But yeah, and that is relatable that I haven't
yeah,
done it for 25 years, and it's
yeah,
really only very recently that it
yeah,
is like, okay, with really high stakes.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
And again, it is like it is the greatest gift anybody can give to the community that we're a part of, or the communities that we're a part of, that I honor my boundaries so that I make sure that I am resourced, so that I make sure that I'm not put in positions to make a decision when I'm not resourced, because I won't be making good decisions when I'm not resourced. It's like it is the best way for the collective that I honor my boundaries, because that's how I get to be me, which means to, lock myself in my bedroom and not talk to somebody for 2 days, maybe. Fine. But if you have really little kids, you need to make sure that somebody else is caring for them then, right? I mean, you need to, that's part of the social contract of sorts. We do have a responsibility to those around us as well. But me honoring my boundaries, I think, is a good thing.
Yeah. Um, I would say that when you are operating in a community and you are honoring your boundaries, you are sending a message to other people in the community who may view you as a role model that is acceptable to do.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and about if you have small kids, yeah, you have a responsibility to take care of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean, even still, it's like you do need to have boundaries of like, well, this is what I can do, and this is what I can't do, and
Yeah, and it's also actually a statement to the fact that we need each other, that we're not um I am not sufficient in and of myself, in the sense that we're not supposed to be alone. So if I am a single mom, I'm not supposed to be the only one who takes care of my kid. The system is set up in such a way that we're actually supposed to live in a larger family constellation where, when I am not resourced, because that will happen, somebody else is there to step in and take the responsibility. So
how it
just
should
looking
be.
at, yeah, precisely. And I mean, that's the design of the system. That's how we are. We did not, humankind did not evolve as solo creatures. We didn't.
Snow leopards.
Precisely, we're not snow leopards. It's like we're just not. We are supposed to be in a constellation of what, 15 to 20. Because then there will be somebody who is resourced. There's somebody who's awake at night when the kid is screaming. There's somebody who's strong enough it can go hunt. There's somebody who's skilled enough to go forage. There's somebody who knows how to take care of the kid when they have a fever. It's like together, that's the way it's supposed to be. So if we are
It's a village.
the village, if we are in today's society, I think such a huge part of mental illness, mental, like, people being depressed and anxious and all of that stuff, is because we've lost the village. We've lost that extended family sense, so that people are actually fucking alone. We're not supposed to be. We're just not. And that's not oh, that means you're weak. You're supposed to be able to take care of yourself. No, no, that's wrong. That's false. That is not truth.
Yeah. I would agree that there's a lot of atomization, and COVID certainly didn't help with that. And you have people who are stuck behind screens, and you can still have, really quality interaction behind screens. I don't think that that is necessarily the issue, but it's, Twitter is different than Instagram and YouTube, where I think it's a lot more parasocial, where you're not necessarily having one-to-one interactions. You're watching somebody else's content who has thousands and thousands and thousands of followers who you may not get a response from. And then you have to deal with product placement and people promoting things because they're paid to promote things, and it's like a very perverted village.
Yes.
Where
Yes.
you have a lot of people who don't, or entities that are acting without the health of the village in mind.
Yeah.
And
And probably
that's particularly bad for kids.
probably not honoring their own boundaries either, if they were to take the time to actually listen within. Just a guess, but I'm guessing that there's a lot of, I'm doing it because I get money, so I'll just, never mind that it doesn't really sit well with me, but heck, they pay me well, so that you're constantly in that non-honoring of my own boundaries, which in and of itself probably can get you sick. So yeah, making sure that you have people. Oh, that's easier said than done. Yeah, maybe it is, but it's fucking vital. So find them, It is vital. I think it is. Because that's what we're designed for. That's what it's all about, really. That is how I get to help my community survive. Next generation. It is by me not being a lone creature, except if, it's fine if there's a lone creature here and there. That doesn't matter. But if everybody is, or a majority is, we're messing up something that I think is vital for our survival.
Yeah. And this could be a whole other hole where my understanding is that young men are isolated at a higher rate than they have been in a long time, and that there may be a direct link between some of the violence that we've seen as a result of that. When you're isolated and you don't feel well, and especially if you have this idea or this perception that everybody else is part of this village, and that there's well, and especially if you don't have a source of meaning.
Yeah, and if you then also don't know how to play, or you're not, everything has gotten so serious, and you don't.
That's not what a man is supposed to do.
Precisely, and you don't take livet med en klackspark. and all of these things, it's like it's a compounding factor, and it's like it's we're headed towards disaster if we go along with that. And it's not, the answer isn't to shame people who are alone. It's not making them wrong or bad, or you're just expressing toxic masculinity, whatever. It's like that won't make a shift. It's like, what do these people need? What do you need for you to start to feel like a part of a greater something?
I also think that pointing fingers or shaming is generally not a very good way to
Yeah.
get people to hear a message or change.
Yeah.
I mean, even I think about some of the things that were talked about in the tarot reading, and how, because it was done in, well, an intuitive reading, and because it was done in this sort of loving way, like you said, of like, you're not necessarily wrong for having lived your life this way or having believed these things. It's been much easier to just let them fall away,
Yeah.
and have it not be something that is fought against. And what's funny is, someone who I have been in contact with and have had sometimes a friendship, and sometimes a somewhat, there's like an adversarial element, and and they have poked at the thing that came up in the reading before, because they were feeling judged themselves, and because it was framed in this attack, it didn't get through. I didn't hear it, and my behavior didn't change.
No.
Because I don't think that shaming and finger pointing and doing that kind of behavior is particularly effective in getting people to actually change or think about
I will be
how it harms
posting
them.
in the show notes 3 links to 3 podcast episodes that I've probably linked a number of times before, and I know I've written about it on my blog. One is a Simon Sinek conversation with a woman called Deja Khan, I think her name is Deja Khan, who is a documentary filmmaker, Muslim woman who has done a lot of she's done work with ISIS and with extreme Nazi type things in the UK, and with the Ku Klux Klan nationalists movement type in the US. It's an excellent conversation. And then there's the On Being episode with 2 youngsters called, I think, Black and Stevenson, where one is Orthodox Jew and the other was the crown prince to this Ku Klux Klan National Socialist US type setting. And then the third one is an Invisibilia episode where they're talking to a Danish policeman about Danish kids going to Syria to fight for ISIS. And it's just all of these 3, I think, point to precisely what we're speaking about, that belonging is what drives all behavior, really. It's just some behavior then turn out to be really bad for other people, and some behavior turn out to be not bad for other people. So as a culture, as a society, it's like, what can we do? How can we be in order to have more people kind of make more better decision for the community? If to use the words that we used not many minutes ago, And how, if somebody has like gone out so far on the edge, how can you actually bring them back home into the fold? Um, and it is possible, but I think that what I see from a lot of what I see is that we, kind of the society, the well-behaved part of societies, right? We're quite bad at it. We're much better at pointing fingers and shaming. Yeah. And yeah, putting yourself on high horses and just going
Oh,
precisely
I
right.
am so good.
Yeah, yeah. But all three of those are really, really good podcast episodes that I've listened to over and over again. I've probably listened to each of them at least 5 times, if that's enough.
Wow, I'm excited to listen.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, this is also one of those examples of how a podcast episode can be such a portal. It can open because all of these episodes provide, first time I listen to them, you get smacked in the face with tankespjärn over and over again. It's like, oh, I did not see that one coming. And then I go back and I listen again and I listen again. And it's like, okay, I see. Where does it come from? What is it? What's belief that I have had that I'm shedding as a result of listening to, as a result of being like jostled by these edge statements or questions or ways of being or thinking or questioning what we are doing. It's just, oh, I love that. I love that. I love getting punched in the face by a tankespjärn now and again. It's just, oh,
I'm developing my palate.
yeah, yeah. I think it is a good thing to do. Um, and I think for me, what part of what it gives me is access to more of me. It gives me access to more aspects of me. It gives me access to the base, low parts of me. Those, oh, fuck, do I have those sides too? Yes, I do.
Shadow selves.
The shadow selves, they are there, and letting them be there. So that I'm not controlled by them or their presence or fear of their presence, but rather when they show up, okay, how can I dance with this? So it does give me the same sense of me becoming a more and more well-rounded human being, less afraid of what I am, that I am, which is good.
Well spoken.
Well spoken. Yeah. Maybe that's a good place to end.
It may be. I have to use the restroom, so that may be a good place to end.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you, my friend, for this lovely conversation. I will be taking myself off to bed because it's approaching 10 here in Sweden.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It was a good conversation. A bit of a slow burn. I think, we took a little while to start grooving, to start dancing, but
but we got
got
there.
in. We got
there.
We got
Yeah.
there.
So we have one more conversation and then there will be the group session or sessions as well. So there's 2 more to go.
I am looking forward. I'm looking forward to the group session.
Yeah.
I think I've listened to one episode from every person so far, so I want to
Cool.
listen to more before we get together as a group.
Cool. I love that. Great. Well,
Got some great people.
yeah. Lovely people. it's just amazing the amount of lovely people there are. Interesting,
It's gonna be fun.
fascinating. Just, I love it. So you go take care of yourself, my friend.
Thank you very much.
You're
And you go
welcome.
take care of yourself.
I will. I will be posting links to those podcasts that I mentioned fairly close here to the end. And I will be posting a link to a blog post that I wrote after we had a Tankespjan monthly meetup on the topic of these. I think it was all of these 3 podcasts. So the Tankespjan community is a great place for you if you feel like joining in on this type of conversation to do so. They are not recorded. They are just they're ephemeral. They take place random days. There's not a set weekday or time. Usually Swedish time in the evening, but not necessarily. I'd love to see you there, whoever you are. And I think that if you enjoy these conversations, chances are pretty good that you would enjoy joining in for those conversations too. So check it out. You can find information about that on tankespjan.com under community, or you can go to patreon.com/tankespjan. So hope to see you around.